All right, I think we are back here. I greatly apologize for that. I don't know. I legitimately do not know what happened there. We were live for a minute, and then all of a sudden something absolutely crazy happened. It is storming where we are. So I greatly apologize for that happening. We will. So let me get to a couple of things here. Number one, we have a lot of super chats that were in the other show. We will get to that. In case you're just watching the second live show here, we were just live, and then we just had a complete meltdown here. I have no idea what happened. Absolutely no clue what happened. But we are going to get to all of those super chats that were just in the other show live. I greatly apologize for that happening. I don't know what happened. I greatly wish I did know what happened. We will get to those super chats that you just put in here. I greatly apologize. So do me a favor. We are back alive here. God bless it. God bless it. I don't know what happened. I legitimately do not know what happened. I am very sorry. We're going to get to your super chats for all of those of you who sent those in. We got to get fiber internet. That's all that I know. That is our mistake here. I deeply apologize. Every show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel, though. Regardless of how it plays out, I'm sorry for that transpiring. So do us a favor. I know that there's probably a lot of people that were in the show that probably are wondering what the hell just happened. We don't really know right now what just happened. Do us a favor if you don't mind. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups. Share to all those social media pages. I am mortified that just happened. I am mortified that just happened. I don't know. I have no idea what happened. All right. But we do have some news here. We do have some news that is coming out of here as it would appear that LSU has hired officially Charlie Weiss Jr. to be their offensive coordinator and 5 other assistants who followed Lane Kiffin yesterday from Ole Miss. Wilson Alexander of the Advocate as reporting. Charlie Weiss Jr. is accepting a 3-year deal with LSU worth $6 million. So LSU does have their offensive coordinator in place, and it's good that we're going to start getting a lot of those. So we'll walk. This is what we're going to do. Wilson Alexander is reporting that Charlie Weiss has accepted a 3-year, $6 million deal, making him a $2 million OC. We will talk about that. We're going to get to Lane Kiffin press conference. We'll talk about Blake Baker. We'll talk about other staff. But as this continues to come in, we will discuss it. But Wilson Alexander of the Advocate is reporting that LSU has hired offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. and 5 other assistants who followed Lane Kiffin yesterday. So we'll get into all of that. We're going to let a couple more people trickle in here. We're going to let a couple more people come in and do it. Do me a massive favor, though. Massive favor. I need you to do me a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all those groups. I greatly appreciate it. So, all right, let's get to it here. So we were at the Lane Kiffin press conference today, and I thought that the way that LSU rolled out Lane Kiffin was as first class as it comes. LSU rolling out Lane Kiffin the way that they did, the style that they did, how they did it, the people that were there. You had the who's who of Baton Rouge, the who's who of LSU that were there in the rollout of Lane Kiffin. I thought today was absolutely flawless for you as a program. I think it showed in a lot of ways who you are and where you're going moving forward. And I think there was a lot of things that were said in reference to today. Now, we're obviously going to get to Lane Kiffin and a lot of the things that he said. But today was led off by new president Wade Roos, who hasn't been a president for less than a month. He talked about all the support that he got from Verge Ausberry and Scott Ballard, the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, all of the donors that backed and supported them in all of this process. And I thought it was very interesting to say because of, listen, it's very difficult to trust people when you only have known them for 3 weeks. But the one thing that Wade Roos said in all of this that really struck me was he talked about the alignment with Verge Ausberry. He talked about, listen, the first act that I made as a sitting president of LSU was that I appointed Verge Ausberry. I thought when we needed to go get a head coach, that we needed to get alignment and that we needed to get alignment quickly. Myself included, did not know how all of this was going to go. I thought the move felt rushed, and I thought that they panicked until Verge Ausberry came out and proved not only me, but everyone in the country wrong. Because he went out and got the number one guy in the country that could have come here in Lane Kiffin. And it was a big-time deal in being able to do that. I don't take those words very lightly from Dr. Wade Roos when he says that. He was under a lot of pressure from not only donors and boosters, but he was also under a lot of pressure when it came to the governor and the board of supervisors on making the moves that he did in appointing Verge Ausberry. But clearly it was one of the best moves because Verge was now a lifetime guy, a lifetime LSU guy, was able to come in and make the best hire that LSU could have made in Lane Kiffin. Because, guys, Lane's a lot of things. A loser isn't one of them. He's just not – I mean, he's going to win football games, and you're going to be really good on offense when you do it. So I thought that Wade Roos's comments about Verge Ausberry were very telling about how all this thing went down. Speaking of Verge Ausberry said, listen, I've been a player here. I have been an administrator here for 30 years. And in being an administrator for 30 years and being where I've been for 30 years and knowing LSU better than anybody, we needed to go and get a guy who fit our culture and knew what it meant to win at a place like LSU. Verge came out there today and stated the following. The number one thing that we needed to go out there and do was make sure that we got a guy that understood the magnitude of this place, and we went and got it with Lane Kiffin. But the biggest thing about Verge Ausberry today didn't come from Wade Roos. It didn't come from Verge Ausberry. It came from Lane Kiffin. You see, Lane Kiffin ran out there today and said, when he was asked a question, what did Verge Ausberry say to you to be able for you to leave Ole Miss to come to LSU? And it was simple in what he said. I'm going to get out of your way and let you coach football. You know, we've talked a lot over the last month since Brian Kelly's been fired and all of the things that went wrong. I thought the biggest thing that went wrong, other than Brian Kelly himself and some of the things that he did, was Scott Woodward meddled too much. Scott Woodward got involved way too much when he shouldn't have. Scott Woodward did things that I thought were ludicrous, and I think that he did not understand the times that were coming for him when it mattered the most. You know, Scott Woodward legitimately did things in reference to getting in the way of and interfering with NIL. Not allowing Brian Kelly to be able to do some of the things that I thought Brian Kelly needed to do to get the roster that Brian Kelly needed to win. And when Lane Kiffin went to the podium today and stated, look, you know what the biggest selling point to me for Verge Ausberry, what he said was, tell me what you need. We're going to go and get it, and I am going to get out of your way, and I'm going to let you coach football. That is alignment. Your sitting athletic director has one job. Your sitting athletic director has two jobs. Obviously, he can let somebody else be over compliance. He can let somebody else do what they need to do in reference to all the things that comes with the job of LSU. But the one thing that an athletics director, in my opinion, has got to do more than anything for you to be successful is you got to ask your coaches what they need, get it for them, and get out of the way. You know who else echoed that sentiment? You know who else echoed that same exact sentiment from Lane Kiffin today? Was Jay Johnson last week. Jay Johnson was also asked, who, by the way, was in attendance today. I know that a lot of the sitting head coaches, not all of them were there. That was a shame. You should have been there. Just because your feelings got hurt doesn't mean that you shouldn't have been there. That's just me. In all of that, Jay Johnson said the same exact thing that Lane Kiffin said. So we talk about alignment. We talked about all of the stuff that goes into being and having alignment from the top. You got a two-time national championship winning head coach last week in Jay Johnson going to the podium and saying, look, man, I appreciate everything Verge has done over the last month. He's got more issues to go on with than worrying about what I'm doing. And he came to me and said, Jay, what do you need? He's come to me multiple times and said, Jay, what do you need? I'm going to help you get what you need and then get out of your way. And then you have a guy that does not know Verge Ausberry, probably hasn't met Jay Johnson yet, and they both said the same exact thing a week apart. Why would Jay Johnson and Lane Kiffin, who don't know one another, saying the same thing about your athletic director? Guys, quite simply, if it's not true. Verge Ausberry deserves a lot of credit here. He deserves all the flowers because he did what some people thought, myself included at points in times, thought what might be the unthinkable. That unthinkable being that I did not know if Verge was going to be able to pull this off. But you got a guy in Jay Johnson saying the same thing that Lane Kiffin just said. That is absolutely masterful, and I love to hear it. Because that means when you have that level of alignment, and alignment is a word, listen, in coaching and in sports, we throw out words. We throw out words in sports that everybody wants to hear that are never really true. I believe this one because you have multiple coaches saying it, and it's coming to fruition when you're able to go out there and get a Lane Kiffin. Listen, the bottom line is that you got to give Verge Ausberry a lot of credit here. His number one job as the head man is to do everything that he can do to get the resources for his coaches to go out there and get them the best players, to go out there and make sure that they win the games that they need to win. Now, let's move on to Lane Kiffin. So, to go through a timeline here, over the last 3 weeks, you and I have had a lot of discussions. Those discussions have been very simple. A couple of Thursdays ago on the show, I came out here and said, listen, guys, I hear LSU is about to put the pedal to the metal. They're about to put their foot down on the gas, and they're going for Lane Kiffin. And they're not going to get outbid. They're going to put all their money and resources into everything that they need to go get Lane Kiffin. Then the Friday after that, literally the next day, you had a lot of buzz from the national side of things come out that LSU was doing just that. Fast forward a week, I came out here and said, listen, the number one thing that I am hearing, so a week apart, now when you're interviewing and you're talking to and you're getting to know and you're trying to persuade Lane Kiffin to leave a playoff team in Ole Miss, the number one thing that he has been talking about has been NIL. And in the introductory press conference today, Lane Kiffin was asked about NIL. He was asked about the alignment, NIL, and what is going to make this thing get turned around and be great. And Lane Kiffin had this statement. 4 programs wanted my services. Now, one of them wasn't really public, but there was LSU, Ole Miss, who wanted him to come back, Florida, and I'm assuming Auburn, who all wanted Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin said that he had one question to Jimmy Sexton during this entire process. It wasn't what his salary was. He says, I don't even know what my salary is, nor do I care. Jimmy cares. I don't care. I don't make decisions off of money. But the one question that I kept asking Jimmy through this process was, who has the best situation when it comes to NIL to be able to get the resources to go out there and get elite players to come to the program that I will be the head coach in? And Jimmy told him it's by far not close, not remotely close. It is LSU. Now, I know that Chris Lowe, who is a big-time national reporter, love him, think he does elite work. He's one of the best. Chris Lowe came out here today and stated in an article that everybody said that they were going to match what LSU was going to match. That might be true. It might be true in saying whatever LSU is going to give you, Florida says, we're going to match it. Ole Miss says, we're going to match it. Auburn says, we're going to match it. And the Auburn thing, I don't even think Lane even paid any attention to it. But I sit here in a situation and say, it was how LSU orchestrated, it was how LSU articulated, and it was how LSU handled telling Lane Kiffin and Jimmy Sexton how they're going to be able to help him put the best roster possible to go win a national title. See, it's one thing to say, like, listen, I could come to you right now and say to you, listen, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, I am going to give you X amount of money. But if I don't tell you how I'm going to give you that money, it's all just for show. It's all just for show. None of that really matters. None of it matters in the sense of that you are in a situation where you can articulate exactly what you have to do to be able to prove to the number one guy that you have on your board that you can deliver. That you can deliver. And that is exactly what LSU did. Verge, Roos, Landry, who's a part of this process per Lane Kiffin, and Scott Ballard, the chairman of the board. Do you want to know why Lane Kiffin stated that today in his press conference? Because it was the number one thing that he said. It's what he said. It's what he's been saying this entire time. It's why I've been reporting on it for 3 weeks, because there was no bigger avenue. There was no bigger situation that Lane Kiffin cared about than going and getting the players to win a national title. Now, you might not believe my words over the last 3 weeks. You might not even believe the words of Lane Kiffin himself. Do you trust in the words of Nick Sabin? Do you trust in the words of a guy that's been there and done that and knows this place? Do you trust in a guy who is the best coach of all time, that when he goes out on College game day and he tells you, listen, man, I think Lane Kiffin's number one thing is he wants to go to a place that can give him the most resources to be able to go out and get the best players. Recruiting's going to be a big deal here. Guys, that has been the number one factor. You know, LSU has come a long way in this. LSU has come a long way in the sense of they've been in a place where a lot of people have not believed in them, where this whole NIL era has started and people have looked at this situation and said to themselves, man, LSU can't keep up with the Texases. They can't keep up with the Texas A&Ms. They can't keep up with the Ohio States. They can't keep up with the Alabamas. And then they proved that they can. And they're going to prove that they can. Lane Kiffin was on the preface of coaching a playoff team at Ole Miss. He was on the preface of it. And the thing that lured him away was not only the resources and the atmosphere and everything that LSU encompasses. Gus, as Lane Kiffin said today in his press conference, and what Nick Saban told you on game day, and what I've been telling you for 3 weeks, the number one thing has always been about LSU being able to articulate how they can structure NIL, how they can go and get elite players and lead Lane Kiffin to the one place that he wants to be, and that's at a national championship. That is at a national championship. I don't know how many other conversations were had other than that one. I have been told over the last 3 weeks, if I've heard about it once, I've heard it. Let me just say this. If I had $1 for every time these past 3 weeks that I've been told by sources that I trust that Lane Kiffin's biggest talking point and sticking point has been about what we are doing in NIL, I would have been a millionaire. Not really. I would have had a lot. I would have had a lot of money. It just really comes down to he doesn't think that Florida, he doesn't think that Auburn or Ole Miss has the better structure, alignment, and atmosphere and climate of just what LSU and Louisiana produces that could be matched than those other programs. He said as much in his press conference when he said, yeah, my family liked Gainesville until we met people. And he's talking about Scott Strickland, their AD. If that's not damning, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Florida fans, maybe for once you will listen to somebody in the LSU media when they tell you everything that played out to be true when you were constantly wrong about it. No one likes your athletic director. You don't even like him. You need to fire him. But here's the truth. There are people, Verge Ausberry confirmed this today. There are donors, there are people, there are LSU fans that are coming and boosters that are coming out of the woodwork now that Lane Kiffin is your head coach to pursue a championship, give them the resources possible that they were just not doing for Brian Kelly. They did not put the resources in it because either they didn't believe in it, they didn't understand it, or they didn't trust in what Brian Kelly would do with them. And I think a lot of it has to do with, too, that your athletic director meddled in a lot of it, and Verge will not. Verge is all about going and getting the best overall players to win a national title. And that's all it came down to, guys. LSU is a place and a brand where you can get the elite talent, you can get elite coaching, and you're going to have the resources to win a national title. You can't condemn Brian Kelly for not winning a national title and ignore the fact that Lane Kiffin is getting all of those same resources. You can't say Brian Kelly failed because he was lazy and he didn't do this, he didn't do that, and say he had all the resources, and then all of a sudden say LSU doesn't have more resources. Because they simply do. That was the overall sticking point. Now, there are a couple other big points that Lane Kiffin hit in his press conference today before we move over to staff. We will get to all of your super chats. So if you want to get involved in the show, become a member on the YouTube channel, send in your super chats. I greatly apologize that the stream went down earlier. I can't believe that happened. I just can't believe that happened. We're going to get to all of those super chats that were on the old show. We're just going to have to read them off. But you can get involved. So I do apologize that. I still feel really bad about that. Nothing that I can do about that, but here we are. Another big thing that Lane Kiffin, I almost said Brian Kelly again. I almost said Brian Kelly again. The one thing that stuck out to me today as well in Lane Kiffin's press conference was him alluding to the conversations that he had with Nick Sabin. And I think that Nick Sabin asked Lane not to, if ever asked, not to talk about their conversations. And he said as much. He said as much. Guys, 2 weeks ago, I came out here and said, and I know that we clipped it. I know that clip got a lot of views. We talked about last week that when this was all said and done, when all the smoke had cleared, when you get Lane Kiffin and he's your new head coach, you're going to hear a story about how all of this went down, and Nick Saban's going to be a massive part of it. Did today's press conference with Lane Kiffin show you and tell you as much? I don't know all the intricate details of what happened in the conversations with Lane Kiffin and Nick Sabin in this process. I'm going to tell you what I was told. What I was told is that Nick Sabin told Lane that when he left Miami, he probably shouldn't have left because LSU is one of the best jobs in the country. He knows Verge Ausberry very well and said, Lane, you're going to get what you need. And he also told him, listen, it's one of the best top 3 jobs in the country for you to go and take. But I think the biggest thing that Lane Kiffin told him was, your dad would tell you, go for it. Because Pete Carroll told him that too. Go for it. LSU is a place where you can build a dynasty. LSU is a place where you can win multiple national championships and be the person and be the coach and be the guy that, quite honestly, every competitor wants to be. There's not a competitor that's out there that doesn't want to win national titles. There's not a competitor out there that doesn't want to win SEC championships. There's not a competitor out there that doesn't want to make multiple playoff runs. I have been told, and I've heard, and that's why we talked about this during the entire process, that was one of the biggest things that Nick Sabin told Lane Kiffin about coming into this job. And you know who else sat in the corner, which nobody wants to talk about? Jimmy Sexton. Nick had a conversation, or Nick, it's not a press conference. Nick talked about this when he was inducted to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And Nick was asked a lot of questions. He was asked about his time at LSU and all the great things that he did here. But Nick talked about a story about when he was deciding to take the job at Miami while leaving LSU. And Jimmy Sexton told him and asked him, when you write your legacy, do you want to be Tom Landry or do you want to be Bear Bryant? He said Bear Bryant. In which Jimmy Sexton said, well, then why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Why are you going? And Nick didn't listen. When we get older and we look back on our lives, there's things that I think about in my life that I wish that I had back. I'm sure that there's things in your life that you wish that you had back. I wish that there were things in situations that we saw that Nick Sabin could have done here while the head coach at LSU. And I think Nick Saban's biggest regret, as he said in multiple media stops, my biggest regret in my coaching career was leaving LSU. And he's been very vocal about that. Nick Sabin didn't know 6 months ago that Brian Kelly would be fired and that Lane Kiffin would be LSU's top choice. I'm sure he didn't know that Scott Woodward would be fired. I'm sure he didn't know all of these situations. So when it came down to it, because Lane Kiffin's dad not being here with us, which is unfortunate, and Monty Kiffin, he leaned on the two best guys that he knew in Pete Carroll and Nick Sabin. And Nick Sabin and Jimmy Sexton, both who Jimmy told Nick, it's a bad decision you leaving LSU. What do you think those conversations with Jimmy Sexton, Nick Sabin, and Lane Kiffin were? Because nobody talked to Lane Kiffin in this process more than Jimmy Sexton. Nobody. And I know a guy, and Jimmy Sexton is a lot of things. Do you think that he doesn't want his client to win multiple national titles to make him more money and be a part of the legacy that could be Lane Kiffin? You know, Lane had a comment today. He goes, you know, it's funny. When Coach Carroll went on his dynasty run, he was 50. When Nick Saban started his dynasty run in Alabama, he was 55. I'm 50 years old, man. I'm 50 years old. And can I do that here? You were the number one job in this process, and everyone knew it. But Lane Kiffin, who was everybody's number one target, Nick Saban, who's the greatest coach of all time, super agent and Jimmy Sexton, and Pete Carroll, who has no ties to you, all came to one agreement that this is the best job in the country that's on the board right now. So, you know, I started before the show ended earlier, in part one of this. You know, I brought up earlier that we needed to embrace the villain role. LSU needed to embrace the villain role. Fine, embrace it. But to all of those that are out there hating on Lane Kiffin, all of those people that are out there hating on what is going down and trashing LSU, you mean to tell me that the greatest head coach of all time in Nick Saban, you mean to tell me not only a college national champion coach in Pete Carroll, but a Super Bowl winning head coach in Pete Carroll, two of the biggest coaches, told Lane Kiffin, it's time for you to go to LSU because that is a mega job. But the national media guy who's never coached a day in his life is right. And Lane Kiffin, who hears from Nick Saban and Pete Carroll, those guys are wrong. Lane Kiffin's coached against LSU. He talked about it. Listen, man, it is a massive amount of pressure to come into this place and to try to win a football game. You're right. Mr. National Media Member, you know more about what LSU can be and what it is more than Nick Saban. That's what I hear that you're saying. You know, Lane would go on and talk about a lot of things. We just brought up the stadium part in this. And Lane's comment was asked about being at Tiger Stadium and coaching at Tiger Stadium. Talking about 2 years ago when LSU in overtime beat Ole Miss. And, you know, Lane, I don't think was taking a shot at Ole Miss or Vaught Hemingway Stadium when he said this. Guys, do you know how much pressure it is to come into Baton Rouge and Death Valley at night and win a football game, and the amount of pressure that we as fans put on him and put on the opposing team? Then Lane Kiffin comes out there today and says, guys, I've always wondered what that would be like on my side on how we do things. So let me break down what Lane Kiffin said today to you, the fan. To you, the fan, Lane Kiffin said, keep doing what you're doing. Probably, if you got the discretionary income, help us in NIL the way that you can. But you know what Lane Kiffin was really saying? The biggest part of Lane Kiffin on the field and what he talked about was, guys, I know that I'm going to come in here and win national titles. Not like Brian Kelly and the way that he did it. I know and have the outright confidence in the things that we do as a team, as a staff, and what I can do, we can win here. Now coming to Death Valley and beat us with the way that I coach. You're not going to. And I believe him. And I think you'll get this thing rolling. Couple other things before we get to some super chats and we talk about staff here. I also today saw a guy in Lane Kiffin who was really torn. Everybody's obliterating him. Everybody doesn't believe him. Guys, I believe him. I believe that he was really torn in leaving the players that he had. I think he really did want to coach in the playoffs. I know a lot of Ole Miss people are saying that Lane Kiffin, who fired back at Ole Miss, oh, this is true, that's not true. I saw a guy today who was really torn. You know, him and his son getting run off the road because he left. Guys, it's somebody, again, I've said this 1,000 times. Somebody's going to have to explain to me what else you wanted Lane Kiffin to do. Do I think that he did this thing the right way completely? No. But he wanted to coach, and his AD wouldn't make a move. Wouldn't make a move. This could have been over weeks ago if Keith Carter would have had the nuts, to be honest with you, to make a move. Ole Miss is playing the victim here when they're not remotely close to being a victim. They're not remotely close to being a victim. I have a lot of Ole Miss fans in my family, and I know that they would disagree. Of course they would disagree. Your AD's lack of decision-making burned you on this one. It did. You didn't have you could have made the choice earlier. And to all the Ole Miss fans and media out there, you missed on all these other coaches. You missed on Summerall. You missed on Golish. You missed on some of the guys that you were going after. Don't blame Lane Kiffin. Because LSU had a month to hire him. You had 3 weeks. You knew that Lane wasn't, when he started not committing to you, that you should have known. Stop with the excuses. Stop with the bullshit. Stop with all of, oh my God, look at us. We're at a playoff. No, the man took a better job. And you didn't understand. You've never been in that situation before because Ole Miss has never had success before. You know, I heard Ben Garrett of On 3. He was talking on his podcast. I saw the clip that went out there. And he said LSU can talk about all the hypothetical championships that they're going to win with Lane Kiffin. No. You put up in your stadium division winners, division champions in 2003. LSU beat you in 2003. They won the SEC. They won the national title. Let's not talk about hypothetical national titles. LSU actually can win them. And here's another truth that nobody wants to admit. The truth of the matter is, this Ole Miss team can't win a national title. So would Lane have loved to coach this team in a playoff game? Yeah, sure. I'm sure he did. But Ole Miss, brother, you might be one and done here. You might be one and done. You're not going to win it, especially without Lane Kiffin. I saw a guy today in Lane Kiffin who was torn. I really, really, really did. All right. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, who is this Go Vols guy in the chat? I mean, good Lord, man. Good Lord. All right. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to some super chats that was on the other show. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that the other stream went out on us. I'll have to read off some of those super chats. We got a massive one, 2 massive ones from Ricky Pope. Ricky, are you still in here? Ricky, are you in the chat? I'm going to get to yours too. He sent us a couple of massive super chats. So we'll get to that. We'll get to some more, and we'll get to staff when we come back. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's $7,600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
All right. KYH on YouTube. This is from the last show. Says, time to embrace the villain role. Hashtag no breaks on the lane train. Completely agree with you, brother. Talking Stephen Hawking says that the butthurt people keep saying he's going to do this to you too, and yet he will. He'll have a couple of championships under his belt by that time, though. Very well could. Very, very, very well could. There's no LSU fan who realistically believes that this happening to you, everybody believes that. KLS with a $5 super chat. We're getting to the other super chats in here, but I got to get to the other ones in the other show. Says, I would consider calling Jeremy Pruitt to replace Blake Baker if he accepts the Tulane job. Yeah, we'll see. We'll go through it. We'll talk about Blake Baker in just a moment. David with a $5 super chat says, for 20 minutes waiting for a coach to show up, I stared at your bald spot. Hope to leave for a second. Did I miss your question? You pay me money. You're talking about my bald spot. I mean, who's really the winner here? Simper with a $5 super chat says, damn, big dog, is it date night? Looking all cute and shit. I tried to look cute today, Simper. I tried to look cute. You look good, you got to play good. Hopefully tonight's show is playing good. But thank you for calling me cute. Simper also became a member on the YouTube channel. Brad with a $5 super chat says, Ole Miss fans got shit all backwards. You didn't make Kiffin relevant. He made y'all relevant. Mic drop. Completely agree. Paul Zerang became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you, Paul. I greatly appreciate it. Join down right below. The join button right there on YouTube. Subscribe and then hit the join button. We greatly appreciate it. Digital Fish with a $10 super chat says, so great seeing you front and center. I remember when you started this 10 years ago. Proud of you, man. Now you're bigger than a lot of those guys who who you said you weren't journalists. Cough, cough, Baldy. Yeah, well, first off, thank you, Digital. Front row and center, baby. Front row and center. It's a big day. A lot of people said that I wasn't credentialed. Just because I don't go to games and do post games doesn't mean that we're not credentialed. I promise you. That's number one. Number two, thank you, man. Yeah, we started this in 2017, and so 8 years now. Yeah. Yeah. It's a big day for me. Ricky Pope with $300 worth of super chats. Ricky, are you in here? Ricky, give me a thumbs up. Guys, is Ricky Pope in here? Ricky, send me your DM me your address. To all those who are sending $200 or more, we're doing something a little special for you. Ricky, if you're in here, DM me your address. DM me your address. But $300 worth of super chats says everyone makes mistakes. Ole Miss is just another stepping stone for Lane's career. Completely agree, Ricky. Ole Miss was what Ole Miss was, and the last 6 years was a great right step to be considered a top-notch coach. Completely agree. Completely agree. I feel like I said the other day, everyone is jealous and scared because they're the ones that are the bottom feeders. Ricky also says, grow up, folks. Halloween is over. Stop the name calling. Those that call Lane a hoe will feel guilty. And the hen cackles first. This is a business, not a bumper room. First off, Ricky, thank you so much. I'm sorry the old stream went down. I'm sorry that is Ricky in here? Ricky, we love you. We love you, brother. We love you. You're right on everything that you just said. You're 1,000% spot on, without a doubt, 1,000% spot on, lock on. I mean, look, we're gonna have to embrace this villain role. We're gonna have to. Ricky, from the bottom of my heart, I greatly appreciate it. I am deeply humbled and honored that you sent that to us, or sent that to me. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, producer Brandon does not have to sleep in the truck. Now he doesn't have to sleep in the truck. He can actually, we can actually pay him now. But thank you. I greatly do appreciate it. You're right. You're spot on everything you said, man. DJ with a $5 super chat says, do you think we have a chance with Mestamaker or the kid from Sam Levitt? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. KY, you got a chance with every quarterback that's in the portal, to be honest with you. KYH with a $5 super chat says, Blake, I sent one earlier. Did you see it? Yeah, we saw it. We just read it earlier. It was the first one we read when we came back here. Penn Jones with a $10 super chat says, talked with a former DB on Georgia's national title team today. And he said, and I quote, LSU just became the most dangerous team in football, and even Kirby knows it. That, Penn, I said this to start the other show. Everyone looks at Lane Kiffin coming to LSU, and they say to themselves, oh, shit. Guys, look at the talent that Louisiana and LSU produces. Look at it. LSU has just been mismanaged. They haven't had a coach that is like a Lane Kiffin ever. I can make the argument that the last time, from a football perspective, that you had a guy like Lane Kiffin as your head coach was Nick Sabin. A play caller, a mastermind on one side of the ball who could call plays and wasn't a CEO type, knew exactly what he wanted to do on his side of the football, has dominated the toughest conference in the country. The SEC, to me, is still the toughest conference in the country. And he's dominated there offensively. Kirby knows exactly what Lane is, because Lane Kiffin went into Athens. He went into Samford this year and put up 35 straight points on them. Guys, they ran for 4 touchdowns in the red zone on Georgia this year. What happens when the playing field on a consistent basis starts getting more equal? That's what Ole Miss fans will never understand. Ever. Oh, Blake, Lane doesn't like to recruit. Okay. Well, I saw him with Lamar Brown in day one, and the staff around him is going to be a big deal. A massive deal. But you give Lane Kiffin the tools, you give him the dudes, He's going to win an A here, dude. And I hate saying that, but he will. He will. Ricky Pope with another super chat says, if your butt hurts, then quit bending over, with a $5 super chat. Yeah, I mean, Ricky, they're hurt, man. They are hurt. They are massively hurt here. You know it, and I know it, and everybody knows it. They're all hurt. Again, the last time I'm going to apologize. I probably shouldn't have to apologize. Shit just happens, man. Y'all know it. I know it. I'm sorry that the first stream went down. I massively apologize, but we need to get your super chats there. All right, let's move on here. We need to talk about some staff before we end this thing with your super chats in here as well. So, Wilson Alexander of The Advocate is reporting that LSU has now signed offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. and 5 other assistants who will follow Lane Kiffin, or who followed Lane Kiffin yesterday. Weiss signed a 3-year, $6 million deal, so $2 million a year. That would make him one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the country. So LSU also signed some other guys today in this process. I'm looking for all of Wilson's stuff here. LSU is also expected to officially hire Billy Glasscock as their GM for Wilson Alexander. Joe Cox, the co-offensive coordinator and tight ends coach, and passing game coordinator George McDonald, and inside wide receivers coach Sawyer Robertson, along with head strength and conditioning coach Nick Savage and senior assistant director of player personnel Mike Williams, all have agreed to terms with LSU. All of them are on 2-year agreements except Jordan, an analyst at Ole Miss this fall, who has a 1-year deal. Cox will make $800,000 per year, while Savage and McDonald both make an average of $825,000 a year. So, what do we know? In reference to Lane Kiffin's staff at the current moment, you've signed Charlie Weiss Jr., which we need to keep an eye out on. I know he just signed a deal. I don't think after signing a deal and now having a buyout that I think Charlie Weiss Jr. ultimately will be your offensive coordinator moving forward. So I'm not really worried about that, but it's a big deal. Look, guys like Lane Kiffin, guys like Kirby Smart, guys like Nick Sabin, they don't just let anybody run their offense or run their defense. Charlie Weiss Jr., who was on the Alabama staff in 2015, obviously we all know his dad, and now is with Lane Kiffin. Honestly and obviously and honestly, the biggest and best play caller offensively in the country. You're just in a situation where that dude's a baller too. That dude can call plays. It's a big-time hire. You also got your offensive side of the ball outside of offensive line. You got your tight ends coach and Joe Cox. You have George McDonald, the wide receivers coach, along with Nick Savage, who is going to be your strength and conditioning coordinator, which I think is the second biggest hire you could have made in all this process. I've heard a lot of really good things on Nick Savage, so I'm really fired up about that. You also signed Sawyer Robinson, who is an inside wide receivers coach. So something that Lane is going to do here. You have a George McDonald, who's going to work with the boundary, and you have Sawyer Jordan, who is going to work with the inside guys. I've never really seen a coach do that, but again, I am not going to question Lane in any of this. I'm just not going to. Because he's got 2 guys that he likes as play callers and offensive minds. You have Joe Cox, Charlie Weiss Jr. along with himself, and I think that he loves the development of a guy like George McDonald and a guy like Sawyer Jordan, or they wouldn't be here. Guys, there's not an offensive hire that Lane Kiffin is going to make in this process. So you got tight ends, you have wide receivers, you have inside wide receivers, and quarterbacks coach goes to Charlie Weiss Jr. The only thing that you're left with on the offensive side of the football is running backs. Let's see what happens with Frank. I know that there was a plane that flew from Baton Rouge to Oxford today. Who knows what that was about? And we will be here when that is announced. But You're only missing Link right now because Frank could ultimately stay as your running backs coach. The real biggest link, if you're going to get, or Lane's going to get his former running backs coach, or he stays with Frank Wilson, and he said that he's already talked to Frank, and Frank's going to stay on, and Frank's going to lead this team, and all of that stuff. I look at this situation and say, who is going to be his offensive line coach? Now, there's been a lot of speculation about James Craig, who's your former offensive line coach. As Wilson reports here, those are the only deals. I mean, I don't see James Craig. We'll see who your offensive line coach is. I do not know who your offensive line coach is going to be here. So we'll see. Just to read some more of this Wilson Alexander story here, while Kiffin has now solidified most offensive staff, he will need to bring an offensive line coach, and then he may consider bringing back running backs coach Frank Wilson. We'll just see. I really don't know what's going on there. Now, we need to move on to the defensive side of the ball. We're going to talk a lot about Charlie Weiss Jr. Look, I think we can get to it now. I'll get to it now. This is going to be a long show. I should have known better. Let's buckle in here because we're kind of having to compact all of this into one stuff, but we're going to have to talk about this and break it up into pieces. Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin are the best offensive play calls. I can't say it enough. As this goes on, and as we have more days to talk about Lane Kiffin and what he is and what he brings, we have all season to talk about it. I don't think that there's any better coordinators on that side of the football in the country. I don't think it exists. I just don't think there's better offensive minds and play callers. Guys, you've gone up against them. You know exactly who and what they are. You look at Ole Miss and say to yourself, guys, outside of last year when their running game was default, which now it is not, you just know what Lane Kiffin and company can do. I'm just never going to question Lane Kiffin on offensive hires. I right now, and from what we've seen at Ole Miss, I'm just not going to question it. Doesn't mean in the future that I won't. Doesn't mean that I don't think that it won't deserve credence in a game where I think you made a bad decision on play calling. The bottom line remains is, guys, you have one of the most elite offensive staffs in the country. So we'll see how you add a good offensive line coach in there. Brother, the sky is the limit for you. Wilson also says that the hires clarified what most of the offensive staff would look like next season. On the other side of the ball, sources said that LSU Blake Baker will be under serious consideration to be retained. However, Blake Baker could be a candidate for other jobs as Monday he was at Tulane. Let's get into the defensive staff. So it was reported today by Matt Zenitz, and we kind of gave some hints of this too. Let's talk about what's going on with this Blake Baker thing. All right. Guys, the wording on this, I love Wilson. Wilson does an elite job covering LSU. Elite. If you're not a member of The Advocate, guys, I'm a member of The Advocate. Probably the only thing that I subscribe to personally is The Advocate. Wilson just does an elite job, dude. He does an elite job. Let's talk about Blake Baker. So Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports reported that Blake Baker is expected to be the coordinator for Lane Kiffin moving forward. Now, that comes with a caveat. I know that we put it out there too. I gave a lot of hints, like the Thanos tweet. I was trying to send some signals. Guys, if Blake Baker does not get this job, they want him to stay on as their defensive coordinator. Now, with John Summerall moving on to Florida, it leaves an opening at Tulane. I think Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator at Miami, Blake Baker, Slade Nagel, there's going to be a lot of people that Tulane is looking at, one of them being Blake Baker. Right now, I know it was reported that Blake Baker met with officials at Tulane today to become their next head coach. I just don't know if he's going there or not. I don't know. But the real thing that I want to talk about here, let me back up on the Tulane thing. I think Blake Baker would be a great candidate. I think Blake Baker is a superstar in the making. I think that Blake Baker, as our good buddy Josh Pate calls him, which the coaching staff around LSU told me today that I should start calling him, the American hero. I go to a press conference today and get asked why I don't call Blake Baker an American hero, but Josh Pate does. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Now, I love Josh Pate, but I got staff members at a Lane Kiffin press conference today saying, how do you call Blake Baker an American hero, or how do you not call us American heroes, but Josh Pate will? And I feel shitty for it. I do. All right, back to relative terms. I think Blake Baker is going to be elite whatever he does. I think if given the right resources, guys, you just saw what he can do. He literally turned around a defense that was 108th in the country in total defense under Matt House, and given the resources, turned it around to a top 15 defense in the country. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Lane Kiffin wants him to stay. Yeah. So when Matt Zenitz runs out there today and says he's expected to be LSU's offense or defensive coordinator under Lane Kiffin, what he's saying there, and things that I've heard, is the conversation between Lane Kiffin and Blake Baker yesterday went something like this: if you're not getting the Tulane job, I would want you here. I have no idea if he's taking the Tulane job or not. The only things that I've heard is that he's a strong contender. He's an alumni there. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know. I would love if Blake Baker got that job for him. If you know Blake Baker, I think he's always aspired to be a head coach, and I'd love it for him. I'd love it for him. Sometimes you're going to have to take jobs like that and push for jobs like that, especially when you want to be where like Lane Kiffin is today. In reference to LSU, they will retain Blake Baker. I don't know how else to put it. Sources told me, I have heard from very reliable people that Blake Baker was told a couple of days ago, hey, man, if you want to stay, you can stay. I don't know how that one's going to shake out. I hope that he does. For LSU's sake, I hope that he does, because he's a great DC. He is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. But I look at Blake, by the way, and just say, man, it might be time for him. I'm not scared of losing coaches. I'm not. You can still go out there and hire really good DCs. Like, what's Jim Knowles doing at Penn State? I mean, I think he could just he can make a really good hire. Does he promote his brother to that role? I don't know. I really, really, really don't know. We're going to have to see what goes down at DC. As far as things I'm hearing for Corey Raymond, I think Corey Raymond's going to be under a lot of consideration. I think the worst thing defensively, look, there's only two people that I want retained in this whole situation. The two people I want retained in this whole situation from your former staff, outside of maybe Frank, but from the defensive side of things, is Corey and Blake. I think everybody else can walk. You don't get Blake without Kevin Peoples. So you could be looking for an entire defensive staff here without Corey Raymond, because I think Jake Olson leaves with him. I think Jake Olson would go with him too, because I think the writing's just kind of on the wall there. You got to keep Corey Raymond. I hope Lane Kiffin does it. because I think when I look at LSU right now, when I look at the LSU Tigers going into 2026, and I look at all the position rooms, there is not a better overall room from a talent perspective, better right now as it sits today for LSU than what they have at corner. It does not exist. I am not going to be mad if Lane Kiffin does not want to keep Corey Raymond. But I would highly suggest that he does. Highly, highly suggest that he does. I don't want to see Pickett go. I don't want to see P.J. Woodland go. I don't want to see Deshaun Spears go. I think if you kept that core nucleus, you could have one of the best DB rooms in the country. Because P.J. Woodland played really freaking good this year. Shout out Sherman Wilson. They play really freaking good this year. So as we break all of this down, as we talk about it, I hope Blake stays, but I also hope that he gets a Tulane job. Like, guys, Blake Baker's an amazing human being. An amazing human being. He's going to be a rock. No, let me not say he's going to be. Blake Baker is a freaking rock star. Him taking the Tulane job is the best thing for him in his current career. I hope that he takes it and that he gets it. I hope for LSU's sake, though, he doesn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm just being an LSU fan, I want Blake Baker to stay here until he drops. At the same time, I hope the best thing for him. I hope he gets the Tulane job, man. I know that's not going to make a lot of friends. Like, you all want me to come out here. Man, we got to keep Blake Baker. Lane Kiffin would keep him. Don't know if he stays. Have no clue. Have zero clue. You know, Lane Kiffin could do a really big favor and show like guys like Blake Baker and show the world if he called up Tulane, and I know this is against him, so he probably won't do it. Hey, man, I've coached against Blake Baker, and he's a freaking good DC. Because Blake Baker gave Lane Kiffin hell the last 2 years. That's why he would keep him. Y'all know that. Come on. I don't know what's going to happen on the defensive side of the ball. The one thing that I could anticipate that has been a problem for Lane it's not been the offensive side of things. The issue with Ole Miss over the years has been they had the one really good year of defense. They had a pretty freaking good year this year that nobody wants to admit. Guys, they're a top 30 unit in the country. Guys, Ole Miss is top 30 in defense with Sage Ryan at safety. Lane Kiffin won 11 games in the SEC with Sage Ryan at safety. Let that sink in. I could see defense being an issue. I think we talked about this earlier when Lane mentioned, like, I'm able to go out at LSU and get some of the elite players to come to LSU. I know that he's talking about offense. His mind is always around offense because he's talking about being and sustaining around the defensive side of the ball. Lane Kiffin has never been at a place where in a high school recruiting ranks scenario that he's got the number 1 and number 2 defensive tackles in the country committed to his program. From the high school ranks, Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson are the top 2 in the state of Louisiana, by the way, top 2 defensive linemen in the country. It's going to be interesting to see what they do on the defensive side of the football. But I think that they'll be okay because the talent's going to – they were fine under Lane last year. It was just they could not run the ball last year offensively to save their life, and when Trey Harris went down, everything went down with it. We'll see. I've heard a lot. I heard Blake Baker would really push for that Tulane job, and he should. He should. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? I know y'all don't want me to keep saying this. I hope he gets it. I really, really, really do. All right. So you have your offense and defensive side of things. We'll see how it plays out. And we'll go from there. All right. Let's get to some super chats. Again, I'm not going to apologize again. I don't need to. All right. David, who said I had a bald spot with a $10 super chat, says, what does the 26 on the jersey represent? He's a 37th coach at LSU. Why not put 37 on the jersey? I don't know. It's a good question. I didn't even think about it, nor did I ask. Aaron with a $5 super chat says, compare the feeling after the ask somebody. I don't know. Maybe it's 26 year. I don't know. Aaron sends a $5 super chat, says, compare the feeling after the A&M game to today. We acquired an A-plus play caller and simultaneously crippled a hatred rival. Great day to beat a Tiger. I agree. I 1,000% agree. Guys, I got to tell you, I am really relieved that a lot of this is over. This has been a very long month for me. You notice how the phone, I know that y'all could hear the phone in all of this. I notice how it's not buzzing anymore that Lane Kiffin's been hired. Nobody wants to call me. Thank you, God. Bro, I had more people text me about Lane Kiffin. Or people that I don't even know who they are. I might need to get my number changed. Gorilla Killer with a $5 super chat says, Verge might be set up better than any AD in the country. This lineup of coaches, LSU has an elite as elite as it gets. Yeah, Verge has got some elite stat. Guys, LSU might be the overall best program when it comes to coaches in the country. Like, as the super chat just said, look at what LSU head coaches look like across the landscape. You got Jay Johnson, who's won 2 national titles out of the last 3 years. Kim Mulkey, who's one of the biggest women's basketball coaches in the country, if not the biggest women's basketball coach in the country, and she's won multiple national titles. You have Kim Mulkey at LSU, who is one of the biggest brands in all of women's basketball. You look at Jay Clark, who also won a national title. And now you bring in Lane Kiffin, arguably the hottest name in the sport right now and the best offensive play caller in the country. Yeah, LSU's an everything school. It's insane. It's insane. Monk on YouTube with a $5 super chat says, you think Lane will call Coach O again and get him on the staff? Go Tigers. Yeah, I don't really know. I know that he brought up Ed Orgeron today saying, I wanted to talk like you. I feel the energy. I think Lane has been asked to potentially look elsewhere. Now, you can say, well, Blake, you just talked about them not meddling. This is different. I just said my phone doesn't stop ringing, and there it is. I don't know about O. O's representation, putting his name out there a lot. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything. Trip on YouTube, what's up, buddy, with a $2 super chat, says, when should we know something about Baker? I'm assuming soon. Yeah, I'm assuming soon, Trip. I mean, within the next couple of days, I would assume. I'm sure Tulane wants to, interview these guys and make a hire. I'm sure really soon. James Lewis with a $5 super chat says BK didn't keep kids here and didn't recruit Texas well. Meanwhile, the 2 Texas schools took kids from your backyard. Lane Kiffin will do those things. I agree. Look, he's got to put a really good staff around him. I mean, shit, Ole Miss beat you out for Trey Harris, even though that Cortez said he couldn't play. How did that work out? James Lewis with a $2 super chat says, if Baker leaves, is Stoops a good option? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind Mark Stoops. I wouldn't mind Mark Stoops at all. All right, stand by right quick. I'm going to refresh the page. Hold on. Stand by. See, the last time we did this, the show ended. I wanted to clean up the picture. You got to lock the state down. You needed some Louisiana people. That's why I think holding on to Frank is not a bad idea. You can even put him on an all-field role. Here's what I'm going to say. His personnel staff has got to be all Louisiana. Like, I think you need to keep Sam Petito. I do think you need to keep Sherman Wilson. I do think you need to keep J.R. Belton. I do think you need to keep Austin Thomas in an other role. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think you should keep Austin Thomas, but I don't know if that's going to happen. James Lewis says if Baker leaves, is Stoops a good option? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I wouldn't mind it. I think there are better DCs out there. He hasn't called defense in a long time now. Brad White might not be bad. The DC there. I mean, you got a long time that you can wait to make a hire on defense. You do. Omar the Tiger with a $2 super chat says, who didn't show up to the press conference? I wasn't keeping roll. Ricky Pope with a 10. Ricky. There he is. There's Ricky. What up, Ricky? Thank you for the massive super chats, buddy. The ones from earlier. I greatly appreciate it. He says, does Lane want to be Lombardi, Bryant, or Sabin? Probably Sabin. Yeah, probably Sabin. Specman. Oh, crap. Gifted 50 memberships on YouTube. All right. First off, Specman, absolutely legendary from you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is awesome. We'll have members out content out only members only content out tomorrow. 50 new members. So what happens when somebody gives memberships? 50 of you are going to get a membership to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Specman. Thank you. It means the world to me. More of you are going to be able to be in the content, and we're going to all have a lot of conversations. So 50 people are going to be gifted. That's absolutely awesome. And Specman is also a member on the YouTube channel. Specman, you're the man. I greatly appreciate it, brother. Dylan Smith with a $100 super chat says, yo, what up, Blake? How's everything going? How are we feeling about the Lane Kiffin hire? First off, thank you for the $100 super chat. I love it. Guys, I'm over the moon. I am over the moon that you hired Lane Kiffin. I think it's the best overall hire that you can make. I think it is. Guys, I hesitate to come out here and say it's an elite hire, but I don't know of a better hire that you could have made. Guys, the truth of the matter is, whether this is right, wrong, or indifferent, there isn't a better hire that you could have made. I think Lane is going to freaking do wonders here. I am pumped up. And here's the truth. You all feel it too. Don't tell me you don't. All of you feel that, guys, even if you go 9-3 next year, 8-4, number one, you're probably going to be really fun when you do it. Really, really fun when you do it. And number two, you're going to be like, damn, man, okay, this is where we are. Year one under Lane Kiffin. I hope nobody I hope that nobody goes into this season thinking that it's you got to make the playoffs. If you're there, then you have unrealistic expectations. However, I just think I can feel it from all of you. Like you feel that something like the air just shifted. You know what I mean? Like, damn, dude, we got Lane Kiffin. Y'all, I know y'all feel it. Guys, they lost a touchdown by the team that might be the SEC champion in Georgia with not even half of the personnel. This dude's an elite coach, man. That's how I'm feeling. I am over the moon about this. David, who said I had a bald spot with a $5 super chat, says, I was asking, did you ask a question? I did not. He says, all BS aside, I'm proud and happy for you tonight. So awesome to see a real fan in a press conference. I am a real fan. I mean, we built this into not being just a fan anymore. You know, like I was joking with Wilson Alexander today. So Wilson was sitting in front of me. And I leaned up to Wilson and I said, Wilson, what are you going to do when I stand up and start clapping? Like, let's go. You know, it's decorum that when the coach walks in, that the media can't show bias and stuff like that. Like, we all had to be seated. We couldn't stand up. When Lane Kiffin walked into the room, I wanted to stand up and go, ha, ha. Lane train. Here comes the Lane train. Guys, I'm just a fan like you, but I'm going to keep it real with you. We're going to keep it a buck. But, yeah, man, I built this as a fan, and now we're sitting in the freaking second row of a press conference of Lane Kiffin. Got the video, by the way, on the video I posted, sitting from the second row. I think it's going to do 1 million views. I really do. The one of us sitting close to him and see him walking up and stuff, I think it's going to do 1 million views. Let me see. Man, I didn't even see my kids today. Yeah, it's at 500,000 views. Oh, insane. But thank you. I appreciate it, David. Even though you called out my bald spot, which I'm self-conscious about. Chef 880 became a member on the YouTube channel along with David Gailey, LSU Sports. Thank you both. I greatly appreciate it. We will have that more content out for you tomorrow. Johnny Bravo with a $10 super chat says, when Lane talked about seeing LSU's Heisman and national championship trophies, I started thinking, yeah, that's a lot better than the empty, dusty trophy shelves at Ole Miss. No doubt. Guys, I just feel so confident that you're going to dominate. I really do. Give him some years. Give him some time. I hope he's here for 6 years. I would, if you told me today, Blake, Lane Kiffin's going to be at LSU for 6 years, I'd say give it to me. Because that means that you made it to multiple playoffs. That means that he's stayed. And that means that you've probably won a natty, to be blunt with you. If Lane Kiffin is here for 6 years, I'll take it. I would love for a coach to be here for 30 years. It means you've dominated. Or 20 years. But I don't think with a guy like Lane Kiffin that's going to happen. You know, Lane Kiffin has the chance to do the funniest thing ever. You know, if Lane Kiffin, who got called a hoe by the Ole Miss media, Lane Kiffin could do the funniest thing ever by the hoe to a housewife by staying at LSU for the rest of his career and saying, well, LSU turned this hoe into a housewife. If Lane wants to be, like, you know, people call Lane a troll. If Lane wants to be the biggest ultimate troll, you do us all a favor and stay here for the rest of your career and win multiple national titles and say, well, you know what, Ole Miss? LSU turned this hoe into a housewife. I know that Lane would think that's petty enough. Don't forget it. That's my sell to Lane Kiffin. It's funny. I think it's an elite hire. I hope to get to know the man. I doubt I will, but I hope I do. Pocket on YouTube with a $5 super chat says, Ole Miss fans are having a hard time realizing that Ole Miss is a stepping stone and not a premier program. What did they think that they were? Like, I see that. I'm like, what did you think that you were? You're a stepping stone program at best. Cajun Boy 23 became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, buddy. Simper, who said I look fine. She said I look cute. But Simper said I was a cutie pie. Yeah, Simper knows I'm cute. Thank you, Simper. I know I'm cute. That's not your question. Lane was at USC. Lane as USC's recruiting coordinator, 3 classes. Number 1 as USC's head coach, top 5 classes. Just saying. Yeah, and the game's changed, but when he was there, he recruited his ass off, and his staff did. It's all about getting elite players. And by the way, he had 30 scholarship reductions. Semper with a $5 super chat. Okay, we got that one. Rodney Scott says LSU is depleting Ole Miss right now. What are they going to do? I don't know. But let me just tell you this. Let me just say this. I don't hate this happening to Ole Miss because they're a bitter rival. I don't like Ole Miss. You don't like Ole Miss. I don't hate. You're not, as a rival, as a fan, you're not gonna see me crying that this is going like happening to them. I do feel bad for the players. I do. I 1,000% do. Cajun Boy with a $10 super chat says, let's not underestimate the effectiveness of successful strength and conditioning coaches to bring back the toughness and swagger. Cajun Boy said the biggest thing there with this entire show. Because we're going to talk a lot about Lane Kiffin. We're going to talk a lot about things that are going on. We're going to have so many conversations. Nick Savage is going to be the biggest make or break situation of the Lane Kiffin tenure, in my opinion. You got to, guys, we have learned how vital it is to have an elite strength and conditioning coach. Vital. It's the biggest hire that you can make. I think Nick Savage will work. One misconception about Lane Kiffin teams is that they're soft. They're not soft. They're not soft at all. Because they're very physical. They're a very physical unit. They've shown it, especially along their offensive line. So, yeah, you got to get your tenacity back. You got to be downhill. I don't care if you're spread, but you got to be downhill when you do it. Penn Jones with a $10 super chat says the Lane plane today brought the wives and the O-line and running backs coach to check out the area before they make a decision. I haven't heard that officially. It would not surprise me. I don't think Penn is completely wrong. I don't think it's completely wrong. They very well could come. Pause. I don't think Penn Jones is on the wrong track. I have not been able to confirm that. Not yet. Not saying it did happen. Definitely saying that I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I don't think that's completely wrong. But I can't confirm it. Rodney Scott says Sunbelt Billy to Tulane. They really like head coaching experience. I do think Billy would be a good hire for them too, even though it didn't work out at Florida. I hope Blake Baker gets the job. I do. I really, really, really do. Ricky says Blake Baker wants a natty to pad his resume with a $5 super chat. Very well could. Very, very, very well could. Thin Red Line with a $5 super chat says he needs to ride the Lane train. Ends up with much better offers once a natty comes. Go Tigers. Keep Blake Baker. I mean, it's the same comment that we just both read on both of them. That's why I brought both of them up. I don't disagree. But name a coordinator that got hired. I mean, Will Stein at Kentucky. All the coaches that went to big programs have been head coaches somewhere else before. They want to see it that you can actually run a program before. Like, look, man, you've just been a coordinator. Guys, it even happened again. Like, it happened literally to Lane Kiffin. Got to go to FAU. You got fired by Sabin, then go to Ole Miss. I think it's just how it works. Tyler with a $2 super chat says, describe Death Valley for the season opener in 2026. Outright chaos. Outright chaos. ESPN better put that game at night. That's all I know. That's all that I know. That place is going to erupt. It's going to erupt because they're like, we got fucking Lane Kiffin. It's going to erupt. It's going to be one of the best atmospheres in the country. They better put that thing at night. Tiger Bait with a $5 super chat says, Blake, is there any truth to Ryan Williams coming to LSU next year? I'm not saying it's not. Like, hear what I'm trying to say. Ryan Williams could go in the portal. He could go to LSU. Do I think there's a strong chance? No, I think there's less than a 1% chance. But there was a story out there that said he was coming to LSU. No, that's not true. No validity to it. Micah Holton, along with Bert, became members on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for doing so. And Shane, who's been a member for a month, says, how do I send memberships? I don't know. I've never actually done it. I think you just got to gift them, but I don't know how you do it, actually. I've never gifted them. Maybe I should. You know what, Shane? After tonight, I'm going to go gift 20. I'm going to give 20 memberships to new people. Mr. Optimistic with a $5 super chat says, does Lane Kiffin give the media access like Kelly did? Probably not. Probably not. I highly doubt it. Justin RP Penn Baker. Baker won with a $10 super chat. Thank you both. If it doesn't have comments, I don't know what else to read there. But thank you for the super chats. Brian Williams with a $3 super chat says, what is your real expectations for next season? I don't have any yet. And Brian, this is going to be a cop-out. I don't have any because I don't know who your team's going to be. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know who your offensive line coach is going to be. I don't know who's going to be on your offensive line. Who's going to be your quarterback? You know, do you get a big-time running back out of the portal? Who is your receivers? Like, I have zero expectations right now. Brian, thank you for the super chat, but I don't know how I can, I don't know how I could realistically come up with any notion. Like, hey, man, this team next year is going to be 9-3. Well, I don't even know who your quarterback's going to be. You get what I'm saying? Like, is it Michael Van Buren? I don't know. What do you do at tackle? What do you do at guard? Guys, I don't know at all. I have no clue. No clue whatsoever. K Niddle became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And Shane with a $100 super chat says, thanks, Blake. Go Tigers. Man, thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Guys, I am humbled. I am really humbled. I do think we're becoming one of the biggest LSU voices in all of the space. I don't know if that's too braggadocious. I don't even know what braggadocious means, but I don't know if I'm bragging too much, but I think that we are. And it is always so humbling, though. Like, I haven't been in this game for a long time. So when I see stuff like this, like, I get massively humbled. Like, I am humbled by you guys sending these super chats like this. This is insane, man, that I get to do this for a living. Thank you, man. I can't thank you enough. Awesome, Shane. Thank you, buddy. David with a $5 super chat says, looking at 2026 schedule, Alabama and both Texas teams back-to-back, my prediction is 3 losses. 2027 playoff team, no doubt. What's your prediction? I don't, like I just said, I don't have one because, and I personally don't know that we can have one. Who's your starting left tackle? Who's your starting left guard? Who's your starting right guard? Who's your starting right tackle? If it's the guys that are already there, then we got to, I don't know if that same offensive line is going to get you to 9-3. I just think we're way too far away from it. Way too far away from it. Spec-Man, who gifted 50, because Spec is the man. Thank you, Spec-Man. He says the membership is in the super chat. The membership is in the super chat. The membership is in the super chat. Spec-Man, what did I miss? What did I miss? This is the only other. Brandon, are we missing something? Regardless, Spec Man, thank you. Thank you, dude. Oh, I see what you're saying. The membership. Yeah, I got you. Thanks, buddy. I can't thank you enough, dude. Spec Man, that's freaking awesome. Baker became a member on the YouTube. Baker 83 became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you, buddy. Not Flight, who's been a member for 3 months, says, thanks for the show tonight, Blake. Oh, man, thank y'all. I massively apologize for the earlier stream dying on us. Something happened with the internet. It went out. Our stream went out. But we're back. We're back, and it's been fun. Alex with a $5 super chat says, even Kelly knew he needed Coach Frank and made a mistake with Corey. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, man. I wonder, like, Frank doesn't have a running back signed in this class, or unless he flips somebody late. And he needs to flip somebody late. Maybe they go in the portal. Maybe that was the plan. We'll see. We'll see. Sourdough Man says, check the $ below. See, we don't see that. This is all that I see. I'm not on the same page as y'all. We'll work that out. I don't see that. I don't see that. Semper gave 10 memberships on the YouTube channel. Thank you, Semper. I greatly appreciate that. That is awesome. Thank you. Y'all have been awesome these last couple of weeks, man. This really making me kind of emotional. Baker 83 with a lane says Lane Train baby with a $10 super chat. Absolutely. He's going to dominate here. I can feel it. Pin Baker 1. What about Kyle Williams? He loves the 318. I wouldn't mind Kyle. I think Kyle's unit did really freaking good this year. I wouldn't mind Kyle staying. I don't know if he will, but I wouldn't mind it. His room did really good. Zeus with a $2 super chat says, can't send Coach O to Tulane. Yeah, I mean, look, man. Ed's trying way too hard here. Ed is trying way too hard here. KYH says, Blake, is there any truth to Bama being Lane's dream job? Oh, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that. I do think Lane's been told that he'll never get that job. But shit, I never thought he would get the LSU job. So what do we know? I don't know. Robert Laws became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Along with Peyton Gates. Y'all are fantastic, and y'all are awesome. Thank y'all for coming on the YouTube channel. Heather Bro with a $5 super chat says, Josh here. Congrats on your weight loss journey. You're killing it. Love the work. Keep it up. I depend on you. LSU's fixing to go off. Well, thank you. Yeah, 150 pounds, man. That was a lot. Thank you for that. And thank you for saying that we're killing it. I greatly appreciate it. Peyton Gates with a 1 month membership super chat. Says, sucks we didn't get Juice Kiffin. Love you. Love the show, brother. Thank you. Yeah, it seems like that was all a stunt from Ole Miss for whatever reason. Weird. Shane says, thank you, Spec. For some reason, it doesn't pull on mine. Oh, y'all were talking to him. Oh, okay. Y'all weren't talking to me. Fletcher White with a $10 super chat says, do you think Blake Baker would see benefit by staying LSU, sharpen the defensive scheme and practice against Kiffin's offense? Head coach at Tulane might not be good, might be too good to pass. Wouldn't blame him. Yeah, I just think that people want to see you as a head coach. Look at all the big jobs. They're hiring head coaches outside of Kentucky. And Tulane is, one got an SEC job, one got a job in the Big 12. It's a stomping ground as a launch pin for guys. So Blake Baker, I'm sure, wants to be the head coach of somewhere. Hell, go to Tulane. What if Lane does leave in 3 years? Then Blake Baker's back at LSU for a 3rd year. So he went from linebackers coach to DC to now to your head coach. That could all happen. JV Curry with a $10 super chat says, appreciate all you do. Keep being real with us and keep being you. Go Tigers. Thanks, JV. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate it. Lucas Blanchard with a $5 super chat says, not sure if you got to this, but who was the 4th score? Auburn. Yep, Auburn. Steve Bean. I couldn't think of Steve, and Steve's a great friend of the show. Sorry, Steve. It's been a long day. About to go on 2.5 hours here. Steve Bean with a $10 super chat says, DJ Durkin, DC, Kiffin ties. I would freaking love DJ Durkin. I would freaking love DJ Durkin. Auburn did DJ Durkin dirty. Very dirty. I'm going to leave it there. Penn Jones with a $2 super chat says, can't be closer to Bourbon Street. That's the truth. You ain't nothing but a hound. No. We'll see how that all goes. He might. He very well could. I don't know. Chris Gill became a member on the YouTube channel. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Stephen Young sends a $5 super chat, says, Merry Kiffmas, Tiger fans. Good times ahead. That is very, very, very true. Very, very, very true. Trance Rogers with a $10 super chat says, can we get Coach Kiffin to change his ex-bio? I'm sure that we can. I'm sure that he will. I'm sure everything that he's going through, probably he just doesn't even realize it. That would be my thought. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man. Peace.